Hey everybody, it's your Sam again, and today I kind of want to go over how I name characters and towns and some tips that might help you out. I know we all struggle with creating names for things, at least I do. So probably if you're watching this, then you do too. And honestly, I am no expert at it. Because like I said, I have problems with it sometimes, and I have often went back and changed a lot of names of things or switched things around or just added a few more letters or something, scrapped it, come up with something completely new. What I do sometimes is I use a name generator. Now you can find these online. You just pop into your search engine, name generator, and several will pop up. I mainly use two, and I will have them linked down below in the description. And one is a fantasy name generator, and one is just a random name generator that you can use. Fantasy name generator is the one that I use most often because it's more unique, and you can kind of search for towns, you can search for like more elfish words or something like that as well in that name generator. I don't necessarily use the names that pop up, but I use it as a base for a name. Now if you want a little bit more substance to your names, like if you want there to be a meaning behind the name, like this is a very special character, like say your main character, and you want to create something that's unique but something that's meaningful, that will give kind of a personality trait or something to your character, then figure out what culture you like your names to come from, like what culture your characters are from or what age your characters are from, and then go to something like babynames.com and search for that particular time frame. Or if there's a particular meaning that you're looking for, such as courageous or sunny or something like that, you can usually search on babynames.com or websites that are like that for that particular meaning, and they will give you a list of names that mean that. So that's another idea for website name generating. Another way that I kind of name things is I just look around me wherever I'm writing, whether it's here at my desk or it's in my rocking chair in the living room or it's outside. I look around at my surroundings and see what's around me. For instance, I have a villager that is named Mr. Myers, and the way I came up with Mr. Myers is because I had some Myers or Mrs. Myers scent spray or fragrance spray nearby. So I came up with Mr. Myers. Another thing, I think there's like a meme going around that has writers naming things, and they see a can of Lysol and all of a sudden their character's name is Lysel or something like that, that is very similar to Lysol. I've named a character Maple because I was sitting under a maple tree while writing, or passing by a maple tree or something, and the name Maple stuck, and it was unique enough, and I kind of liked it. So there you go. Take a look around you, change a couple of letters, add some more letters, make it unique, change it a little bit to what it is. You know, you don't need to look at around you and see a figurine of Deadpool or Diva or something like that and automatically name your character Deadpool or Diva, because you're going to get slapped with a copyright. So don't do that, but just use it for inspiration. Use it as a base of your creativity. So like the word Lysol can become something like Lysel or something like that, or Lysolium, or just use your imagination. Another thing that I do when naming characters is I have a list of names that I have not used yet, and some of them I may have used before, but they were minor characters. I have a list of names that I've picked up along the way. You know, a coworker's name that I thought was neat and unique and I wanted to use it. A name that was in another book. and I thought was neat, or I created a spin-off of it or something like that, and I kind of want to use it. Or sometimes there are days where I can actually come up with names, so I sit down and I write out a few of those names to save for later, whenever I have a moment where I can't come up with names. So do that. A lot of my names tend to come from animals. This can be like the scientific name of animals or the scientific name of plants. A lot of those have a lot of people's last names, the ones that discovered them, or some kind of twist or something like that. And that can be very helpful because usually scientists aren't the most popular of names out there, so that can be a way where you can come up with names, is using the scientific names of plants or animals or something like that. Also, just a species. To take panda, for example, you can have a character named Pan, you can have a character named Dupan, which is kind of silly, but you know, you can actually have a character named Panda. You know, maybe their parents were weird and they liked pandas so much that they named their child Panda. Or maybe it's a nickname because your character always has bags and dark rings around their eyes because they're so tired. Just go with something like that. If your character, another way is if your character has a trait that is very outstanding in them, like the dark circles under their eyes. Think of animals or things or nicknames that people would normally call those, you know, like panda, raccoon, sleepless, something like that. Those can be nicknames or even names for your character, or it can inspire something. Look it up in a dictionary or a thesaurus to see what other words are out there that you're not thinking of. Thesaurus and dictionaries are also very handy to have. Another thing that I do is I search for famous characters, or I just search the word characters, and there's usually like some listicle out there of most popular characters or the worst villains out there or something like that, and that can inspire you to create your own names. You see somebody else's creative juices flowing, you know, and creating these awesome character names, and that can get yours to flowing too, and you can come up with your own. So yeah, just search the word character, search the word most popular villain or something like that. Another thing is languages. Know what culture you're basing your characters off of and go to that language, see if they have any unique names that you can use. Again, babyname.com or something like that will have different cultures listed there. As far as things like towns or bridges or naming something like that, something that's stationary, something that's going to last for a long time. Take Alamount, for example. It's not really hard to pronounce, therefore it's probably going to stay there that way. You also kind of have to think of the meaning behind it. Alamount is at the base of the Unforgettable Mountains. There are a lot of owls around there, or owl-like creatures. Alamount is also known to be the last town in the country, so to speak, and it's stationed kinda in between three countries' borders. So you've got the north country of, I think it's Asia, and Angler is down below, and Alamount is in Lampress, kinda smushed in between them. Alamount is closer to those other countries' capitals than it is to actual Lampress's capital, which is the country that Alamount is in. Think about that. Alamount is the last standing. It's the site for Lampress on those other two countries. It's where those other two countries can be kind of watched, so to speak. Take into consideration what your towns are going to have in them. What are their personalities? What are the aspects that make them a town? Are they between two rivers? And what are those rivers called? Maybe that town has a mix-up of both of those rivers' names as its name because it's sitting pretty in between those rivers. Maybe it's known for a particular meat or orchard, or maybe a family founded it. So all of those can be taken into consideration when naming a town. Take a look at maps. Take a look at your world map. You can see many towns have a lot of the same names. I don't know how many Greenvilles there are in the United States of America, but there are a ton. Greenville is very popular. Greenville can be popular in your country, and it's kind of a basic name. It can be used for anything, anywhere, except for maybe a desert or a tundra. And as far as rivers go, rivers can be named after the people who discovered them, or who traveled down them the furthest, the fastest, the first. It can be named after the land that they're around, the tribe that lived on it, that settlers found. I mean, just do a little bit of history research. Do a little bit of research on world maps and how things are named in our world, and you can come up with some awesome names for your towns and rivers and cities and all that good stuff, just basing it off of that. Look at, if you haven't created a map for your world, if you're doing fantasy, if you haven't created a map for your world, maybe you need to. That way you can see what kind of landscape is going to be around where you need to place a town, and you can base a name off of that. Like, again, Allenmount, base of a mountain range. That was short and sweet, and just a few tips on how I tend to name things, and maybe that will help you out. I like coming up with names for things. I think it's fun, except for those moments where my brain just shuts down and it will not create names for me whatsoever. When that happens and you're writing, just leave a blank spot. Put a bunch of stars or hashtag or pound signs or something, you know, do 2 or 3 capital letter A's or something like that to hold that place, so you can go back to it whenever you can think of a name for it. Don't stop the writing flow just to look something up or try to create a name when, you know, your brain's like, no. Go with the flow. Keep writing. Another little fun fact, when I was looking around and trying to come up with a character name, I had a Zaxby's cup near me, and guess what the character's name became? It became Zaxxon. Z-A-X-I-N. Changed 2 letters. I think it's a pretty neat name. Anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure to like this video if you like it, if it inspired you, or if it helped in any way. If you want to see more content like this, make sure that you have subscribed. I do videos every Thursdays and Sunday. Be kind to one another. Smile about something today and keep writing. And I will see you next time. Bye.